the town that vanished overnight. In 1930, a supply plane flew over a remote settlement in northern Canada called Anjikuni Village. The pilot noticed something strange. No smoke from chimneys, no dogs barking, no movement at all. When investigators finally reached the village on foot, every single person was gone. Over 2,000 people vanished. No footprints in the snow leading out, no boats missing from the shore, food still cooking over cold fires, and the sled dogs, all dead, frozen in place, still tied to their posts. Nobody has ever explained what happened to the people of Anjikuni Village. To understand just how strange this disappearance is, you need to understand where Anjikuni Village was. Situated on the western shore of Anjikuni Lake in the Kavalik region of what is now Nunavut, Canada, the village was home to a tight-knit Inuit community. These were experienced survivors, people who had lived through brutal Arctic winters for generations. They knew the land. They knew the dangers. Investigators who arrived described the scene as deeply unsettling, not because of what was there, but because of what wasn't. Cooking pots still sat over long dead fires. Half-eaten meals were frozen on the table. Rifles, which no Inuit hunter in that region would ever leave behind, were propped against the walls. Kayaks were still beached on the shore. And then investigators found the graves. Every grave in the village cemetery had been opened, not dug up by animals. Opened, carefully, deliberately, as if someone, or something, had wanted what was inside. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police launched a full investigation. What they found, or rather what they didn't find, only deepened the mystery. There were no signs of violence, no blood, no evidence of a struggle, no indication of disease or mass illness. The village simply looked like everyone had stood up from what they were doing and walked away, except there was nowhere to walk to. The nearest settlement was hundreds of miles away through frozen wilderness. The RCMP interviewed every nearby trapper and traveler in the region. One trapper, a man named Joe LaBelle, was actually the first outsider to arrive at the village. He told investigators he had passed through Anjikuni many times before and always received a warm welcome from the community. But that night, he felt something was wrong before he even reached the first building. He said the silence was wrong. In the Arctic, silence is normal. But this was a different kind of silence. The kind, he said, that made his skin crawl. He searched every structure, called out names of people he knew, found nothing, just empty homes and cold fires. Over the decades, investigators, historians, and researchers have put forward several theories. None of them are entirely satisfying. Theory 1: mass migration. Some historians suggest the community may have relocated voluntarily, perhaps following a caribou herd or fleeing some perceived spiritual threat. Inuit communities had traditions of relocating when a place was deemed cursed or dangerous. But this theory falls apart quickly. You don't abandon your rifles in the Arctic. You don't leave your food. And you don't dig up your own ancestors' graves when you're in a hurry to leave. Theory 2: epidemic or toxic event. Could a sudden illness have wiped everyone out, and the bodies been buried or moved before investigators arrived? Possible, but there's no record of any mass burial site ever being found in the surrounding region. And it still doesn't explain the opened graves. Theory 3: foul play. Could another group have attacked the village, taken the people, and staged the scene? It's not impossible, but the sheer scale, over 2,000 people, makes it almost logistically unthinkable. And again, no blood, no signs of struggle. Theory 4, and this is where it gets strange. In 1976, Journalist Frank Edwards published a book citing the Anjikuni case as one of the most credible mass disappearances ever recorded. He claimed that multiple witnesses reported seeing strange blue lights over the lake in the days surrounding the disappearance. Lights that moved against the wind, lights that hovered in silence before accelerating upward at impossible speed. Coincidence? Maybe. But those lights have never been explained either. Here's the part of this story that most YouTube videos skip over: the sled dogs. In Inuit culture, sled dogs are not pets. They are working animals, essential for survival. A community would no more abandon their dogs than abandon their own children. And yet, every dog in Anjikuni Village was found dead, tied to their posts, frozen, showing signs of starvation, meaning they had been left alive and died slowly waiting for owners who never came back. Whatever happened to the people of Anjikuni, it happened fast. Fast enough that no one had time to untie the dogs. Think about that for a moment. You're leaving your home. You don't take your guns. You don't take your food. You leave your dogs tied up to starve. You stop to carefully dig up your ancestors from the cemetery. What scenario, what possible scenario, explains that sequence of events? We don't have one. The Anjikuni Village disappearance remains officially unsolved. The Canadian government has never provided a satisfying explanation. No mass grave has ever been found. No survivor ever came forward. No trace of over 2,000 people was ever discovered. Some cases don't get solved. Some mysteries don't get neat endings. And sometimes, the scariest thing isn't a monster under the bed. It's the realization that something can happen on this earth, to real people, and leave no explanation at all. If you want more cases like this, disappearances, unexplained events, places that shouldn't exist, subscribe, because we're just getting started. And leave a comment. What do you think happened at Anjikuni Village?